It's all about automation, and this is Gary Mintchell, Editor-in-Chief of Automation World Magazine, coming to you from beautiful Sydney, Ohio, on September the 12th, 2010. And this had better be a good take because this is actually the third time I've started this. First time I started rambling a little bit too much, and then I was just getting going the last take, and I get a phone call from my wife who got bumped in the back on her way out of the parking lot at church, and so I had to call the police. Go figure. So hopefully it was didn't mess up her little Mini Cooper too bad when I guess some kid hit her in the back there. But it's amazing how it all works out. And I'm a little bit doped up, so more than usual, you might say. Somehow, it's only my fourth soccer game of the season last week, and pulled something, I guess, and wound up flat on my back for an afternoon at the emergency room as they pumped muscle relaxants and painkillers into me. And so I've been on that kind of stuff now since September the 1st, which is a long time to sit there. But when you're sitting there, you're laying on your back, and you've on your mind, you've been thinking about the next year's editorial plan and what's going on, pondering some changes that are going to be coming up as far as people that I know and cover in the industry. And a number of things like that. You start thinking a little bit broader thoughts. So for this video essay, what I was thinking was a combination of where we've been going and kind of what's going on. But I can't do that in a less than 10-minute video essay. We have three major process systems user groups coming up in the next, I don't know, 8 weeks or something or less, and plus a trade show. And I'm starting to work on a lot of that, so a lot of ideas coming, and looking for a way to capture the ideas. And one thing I'm wondering about is I'm looking, and as I go to all these different things I'll talk about shortly, I'm wondering about brain or talent acquisition. Talent flows. Nothing is ever stationary anyway, and in an industry, talent seems to flow into one company and out of another one, or one segment of an industry into another segment, or something like that. And the upcoming user conferences you're going to find me at, if you're there, stop me. I'm going to be busy, but that's okay. I'll always stop and say hi. And somehow we've got to get together for an automation kind of like meetup or tweet up or something going on. Well, heck, I know there's going to be a social media meetup at the Emerson Exchange because Jim and Mike and the guys are all over social media at Emerson. But we'll see what else we can do. Coming up the end of September in San Antonio is the Emerson Global Users Exchange meeting, and always a good time. But this year, the Automation World team is doing the show daily, so if you get news from the show, like here's news from Exchange, my team put that together. So we're already working on that, so I'm already thinking about what's going on there, and there will be a print paper on your breakfast table when you show up down there, if you're there. And if you're not, look for the email that comes or recaps what's going on. And there's a lot that's going on. And we'll also have our usual Automation World coverage. Also, about 3 weeks later in Orlando, will be the IOM, Invensys Operations Management Ops Manage 2010 user conference. They call it client. And so their client conference. And we also will be doing a show daily. There's no print there, but it's the same deal. I'll have my fine staff of reporters will be going around doing all kinds of stuff and sending out an email that will give you a recap and videos and blogs and all kinds of stuff going on at the IOM event. Followed in just a few weeks by Rockwell Automation's Process Systems Users Group. No, we're not doing the show daily there. They already have an arrangement with a company that does some internal publication for them. But that's okay. I'll be there, and I'll be covering that. And so that's actually three major ones. And somebody might be shocked that I say major for all three of them, but trust me. Okay. So anyway, we have those coming up, thinking about all that kind of stuff and the things that are going on, and especially now that I'm really hot and heavy into interviewing for Emerson. And shortly it'll be the Invensys one that I'll be doing more on. Fortunately, there's a little bit of lag time, or I'd go crazy. But so I'm looking at this and the things that are going on, and thinking about Some of the changes, when we started Automation World, kind of the hot thing that I needed to be all over was pharma in process. It was like good manufacturing processes and a lot of the pharma initiatives. And I go to Interfex and, that's all kind of, I mean, it's not that that stuff isn't important, but as far as being a hot subject or things people talk about or a source of innovation or any of that kind of stuff, not so much. Wireless followed on that, and so everything is really cool, and I was on it. I thought, this is good. This is a good way to get a lot of additional data points. The point I always try to get across to people, though, was it's not just getting the data points, because we already tune the loops. We know about tuning loops, but it's what do you do after you get all that? So you need to bring all these points in. If you can bring all this data in less expensively, and you could use it to manage a plant rather than not just a process or a loop, but start thinking bigger. Maybe you make your whole plant more efficient, productive, effective, profitable, and that sort of thing. So wireless was all over it, and so I would bounce between Honeywell and Emerson as they were the two leading protagonists for different ways of going about wireless. And then when I started thinking about brain drains and stuff, my last trip to Honeywell in June, the whole wireless crew is gone. It's like a whole upset the fruit basket, whole new crew, whole new outlook on stuff, and we're still figuring out what's going on with ISA 100.11a. It was adopted by ISA, not ANSI. They're supposedly reconciling it with wireless HART, which is a standard now. Wireless HART, not only a HART industry standard, but it's also an international standard. It's an IEC standard. So, a lot of the wireless was going on. Not so sure what all that stuff is going to be hot this time, but an awful lot of stuff that I know Emerson has gone back to are kind of the basics and then expanding on it. And as I was interviewing some of these people, I thought, where is talent going these days? I've noticed some, you follow LinkedIn and you see people looking for jobs and you know that, that they're being cut out here and there. Emerson has they have a ton of PhDs up there. They're doing really cool work on a lot of really cool things. That they're promulgating it. I've interviewed at least 3 book authors now. Then there'll be a book signing and a whole thing. And the ideas are getting out. They're putting stuff together. And from my analysis, what I've seen is I think there is what I would call a positive inflow of talent into Emerson right now. And I don't know how long that's going on, but I know it's for some time it has. So as I see that, and there's a lot going on there. IOM, on the other hand, I'm the guy that went on a limb and gave Sudipta Bhattacharya a better than average equal chance to turn that ship around. They were doing some cool stuff. They implemented Pankaj Modi's vision of a software architecture. They branded it and all that kind of stuff. But they really needed to bring all the pieces together, and it looked like they had a good direction. But it's been a while now. So when I go down to Orlando in October to Ops Manage, I'm going to be paying close attention to what's going on. I'm still seeing people pop up in LinkedIn that are ex-IOM employees looking for jobs now. So evidently they're still shrinking positions. I haven't seen that big marketing organization gel together with a message and stuff out. And a lot of good people like people, but isn't it time that it gelled? I'm just asking that. And where is product development going these days? They signed this big agreement. They got stuff going on in India, but India is only a certain level of research and development. And is it going to another level or not? These are questions I'm asking. Where is where does it stand? Is IOM right now kind of neutral as far as talent loss and gain, or is it more still losing talent as they still consolidate? I'll be observing a lot there, and I'll be watching. And you guys, stop me if you see me at the IOM client conference. Same deal. Really curious about all that. And we'll see what's going on. They've had some challenges, and I know they're putting stuff together. We'll just have to see how it all fits out. Following on that is the Rockwell one. Now, Rockwell is interesting for several years, and I just sit back and I observe it, and I would say something that people didn't believe me, and I'm not so sure that the competitors still do. but I have seen a huge net influx of talent into Rockwell's process systems. Mostly it's domain expertise kinds of things, domain and process and application expertise. And but something that still puzzles me is they're still trying to run, and they made some huge acquisitions, and they still can't figure out, evidently, the organization of software. Some of the software they bought, Pavilion, which is process and software, and they've put together some MES level software, and there's a lot going on, but they seem to be trying to manage it at the top with really good guys, but their whole background is like PLC, factory automation, and so they've put at one level a huge brain gain into process, but at another level, I think either there's a brain loss, because I think there's PhDs not there anymore that used to be, and I'm wondering if too much of their stuff has moved to Asia. Control manufacturing, certain kinds of product development, moving to places like Singapore and China, and I wonder what that balance is. So I'm curious about that, and so I'll be asking more questions and observing who I see and who's doing what to whom. But I think it's kind of interesting to look and see what's going on at Rockwell. Like I said, on the one hand, they have really tremendously built up their product. They're finally, after all these years, I shouldn't say that because I've said that last year, really serious about process. And they're really building it up, and they have some real expertise now, and they can go after some really cool stuff, not just little tiny batch things. They have big capabilities that they've bought and acquired. The question is, do they have the visionaries at the top to send it off in a direction, or are they just managing it, just putting together the pieces and just being a manager of stuff? Don't know. Be interesting to watch. So if you're going to the Rockwell user group, it'll be a good thing to ask the people and observe and see where they're going, what directions, and what's happening there. Following on PSUG, there's also Automation Fair, which is the largest remaining automation and control trade show, even though it's a private trade show. But that's kind of interesting. There's I think this whole year I'll go to no trade shows. Probably could have gone to Hanover, but I'm not even really sure what kind of a trade show that is. So that whole part of the industry is kind of interesting. But there's a lot going on. You're going to see me. You're going to read about. Please stop me and chat. Maybe we can get together at one of these three or more than one of these three user conferences that we've got going on. A lot of good opportunities. I know there's going to be some tremendous learning opportunities at all of them. And it's well worth your time to get to one of them. It's always good if you're a customer, you can go ask the hard questions that they don't let me in on. But or if you're not a customer, it's a good way to investigate. You can learn a lot of stuff about things in some of their sessions, get a chance to observe people up close and get a lot of feedback. And so if you're evaluating maybe one or two or three different systems for a potential new project, it's a good place to go to do that. I have run into engineers doing that on purpose. They've got their whole checklist and everything all set up and ready to go. So anyway, this is Gary Mintchell. It's September 12th, and doing another one of my video essays. And this one I'm wondering about positive or negative brain drains, and how about throwing in ABB, Yokogawa, Honeywell, and Siemens in that whole mix. As you think about it, send me a note. What do you think? I don't want just a bitch station. They're screwing us all over. All of us have been there. So, but anyway, send me your notes. I'm really curious. I'll be sending reports back, and you can watch for what we all have to say from each one of these. So, have a good weekend, or I hope you had a good weekend. It's Sunday, and I'll talk to you again next week.